You think you know the 1997 cult classic Spun? The one that drags you through a 48-hour meth-fueled bender in the San Fernando Valley? You remember the frantic editing, the raw performances, the unflinching look at addiction? But the real story, the one that happened just off camera, is even more bizarre than the one on screen. Welcome to 17 weird facts you didn't know about Spun. Let's start with fact number 1. The director, Jonas Åkerlund, wasn't some film school graduate. He was a world-renowned music video director, most famous for directing Madonna's Ray of Light. But his connection to this world was even more direct. Before his music career, Åkerlund was the drummer for the Swedish punk band Bathory, and his life in the chaotic music scene gave him a front-row seat to the kind of hedonism and self-destruction he would later capture in Spun. Fact number 2, the script was written by a duo with unique credentials. Will de los Santos and Creighton Vero wrote the screenplay. But the story is often attributed to a third mysterious co-writer, Igby. Igby was a known figure in the LA drug scene, a real-life connection who provided the gritty, authentic details that make the film feel so unsettlingly real. He was essentially a technical advisor on the language, rituals and mindset of methamphetamine users, earning himself a writing credit for his field research. Which brings us to fact number 3. The film's chaotic, drug-induced atmosphere wasn't just acted, it was enforced. To achieve the film's signature frenetic pace, Åkerlund employed a staggering number of cuts. The final film has over 5,000 edits. For a 101-minute movie, that's an average of a new shot every second and a half. The editor, Christian Larson, reportedly said they wanted the audience to feel like they were on the drug themselves, and the relentless staccato rhythm of the film does exactly that. Fact number 4. Mickey Rourke's character, the cook, is a terrifying figure, but his look was a complete accident. Rourke showed up to set on the first day of filming with his own improvements to the character's appearance. He'd glued his own mustache to his face with a special adhesive, which caused a severe allergic reaction. His face swelled up dramatically. Instead of shutting down production, Åkerlund saw it as a gift. The puffy, disfigured look made the cook even more monstrous and unpredictable. They just rolled camera. And fact number 5, speaking of the cook, that wasn't just a set. The house where the cook manufactures his product, the filthy, cluttered, disgusting house, was a real meth lab that had been busted by the police. The production designer, Gary Fruitkoff, did very little to dress it. The grime, the stains, the overwhelming sense of decay, that was all 100% authentic. The cast and crew had to wear protective gear when not filming because of the toxic chemical residue. Fact number 6, Brittany Murphy's performance as the hypersexual, naive Nikki is heartbreaking. But one of her most memorable scenes was a moment of pure, unscripted panic. In the scene where she's tweaking and crawling around on the floor in her underwear, she accidentally got a used syringe stuck to her knee. Her reaction of sheer terror and disgust is completely genuine. The crew had to quickly help her remove it, and Åkerlund, seeing the raw authenticity of the moment, kept it in the final cut. Fact number 7. The role of Ross, the dealer who loses his girlfriend and his mind over a weekend, was written with one actor in mind, Jason Lee. But Lee turned it down. The producers then went to Giovanni Ribisi, who also passed. It was only after these rejections that the role went to a relatively unknown actor at the time, Jason Schwartzman. This was, in fact, Schwartzman's film debut. His natural neurotic energy perfectly captured the desperate paranoid spiral of a man in over his head. Fact number 8. The film S soundtrack is a time capsule of 90s electronic and industrial music. But the most iconic musical moment almost didn't happen. The scene where Nikki dances alone in her apartment to I Am in Love with a German film star by The Passions was not originally scripted. Brittany Murphy started dancing spontaneously between takes. And Jonas Åkerlund, with his music video director's eye, immediately grabbed a camera and shot it. That haunting, lonely, beautiful moment is one of the film's most memorable scenes, and it was completely improvised. Fact number 9. John Leguizamo, who plays Spider, the hyper-energetic dealer, committed to the role with terrifying intensity. To prepare, he spent time with real meth users, observing their tics and their rapid-fire speech patterns. But on set, he took it further. He would often run in place or do push-ups just before a take to get his heart rate up and mimic the physical agitation of being on speed. His performance is so jittery and electric it feels dangerous, and that's because he was physically engineering that state for himself. Fact number 10. Remember the bizarre, almost dreamlike cutaway scenes? The man shaving his tongue, the woman with the massive neck tumor. These were not random. Jonas Åkerlund had originally shot hours of this bizarre, grotesque footage, intending to use it as transitional material. He was inspired by the strange, fleeting thoughts and paranoid hallucinations that can accompany a meth high. The film was originally much longer and more abstract, but test audiences found it too disorienting, so much of it was cut down to the brief, jarring flashes we see in the final film. Fact number 11. The film's distributor, Silver Nitrate, had no idea what to do with Spun. They were terrified of it. After its premiere at the Sundance Film Festival in 2002, the film was shelved for over a year. The studio was convinced it was unreleasable due to its graphic content and unsympathetic characters. It only saw a limited theatrical release in 2003, and even then, it was heavily marketed as a cautionary tale to try and soften its controversial edge. Fact number 12. Mena Suvari's character, Cookie, spends almost the entire film in a drug-induced stupor, naked in a bedroom. To achieve the level of vulnerability and disorientation required, Suvari revealed that she actually stayed in that bed, in that room, for nearly 12 hours straight between setups. She didn't leave to go to her trailer. She just lay there in character to maintain the feeling of being trapped and lost in that small, dark space. Fact number 13. The car. The beat-up yellow convertible that Ross drives around is a character in itself. That car was not a prop. It was the director of photography, Eric Broms's, personal car. They needed a car that looked suitably cheap and run down for the character, and Broms volunteered his own. It was used and abused throughout the shoot, and the production did, in fact, pay for the repairs and a full detailing once filming was complete. Fact number 14. Spun features a truly bizarre cameo that often goes unnoticed. Look closely during the scene at the strip club. The DJ is played by none other than Ron Jeremy. At the time, he was a recognizable figure from adult films, and his inclusion was meant to add another layer of seedy authenticity to the environment. Given the subsequent revelations about Jeremy, his presence now adds an even darker, more uncomfortable footnote to the film. Fact number 15. The infamous three-way scene was as awkward to film as it looks. Jason Schwartzman was so nervous about the scene that he reportedly apologized to both actresses repeatedly between takes. To break the tension and get the raw, clumsy feeling he wanted, Åkerlund shot the scene with a handheld camera in tight, cramped quarters, giving the actors very little room to move, forcing the intimacy and discomfort you see on screen. Fact number 16. The film's ending, where Ross finally crashes after his long binge, was a technical challenge. They wanted to show the passage of time and the sheer exhaustion of the character. To achieve this, they used a time-lapse shot of the room, with the light changing and Ross barely moving. But to get Schwartzman to stay perfectly still for the hours required for the time-lapse, they actually built a special, incredibly comfortable support into the couch that he could rest against without shifting. He was, by all accounts, genuinely sleeping for parts of the shot. And finally, fact number 17. The legacy of Spun is a complicated one. While it was panned by many mainstream critics upon release for its glorification of drug use, it has since become a cult classic, particularly within harm reduction circles. Paramedics and addiction counselors have noted that the film, while extreme, accurately portrays the specific rituals, the paranoia, the physical deterioration, and the sheer grinding boredom of addiction in a way few other films have. It wasn't meant to be a public service announcement. It was meant to be a raw, unfiltered look into a subculture. And in that, according to those who have witnessed it firsthand, it succeeded all too well.